Give me 1 second. I never turned on my lights. How interesting. So, hello everyone, and welcome to Cat's Creations Live on Friday night, where tonight I'm going to teach you how to make a different variation of the Snowman Wreath attachment kit, which you can find from Craft Outlet. Sometimes you can find them at the Wreath shop. Sometimes people sell them on Etsy or Amazon, but the one I'm referring to is the one like this. He's all blue and white, so we're going to be doing a variation of him on a Dollar Tree Wreath frame. Sometimes when you use the elevated work frame, you have a lot of ground to make up to fill that 2-inch gap between where your frame sits at the bottom and where your inner rail kind of elevates to. So I'm going to show you how to do it with just a regular Dollar Tree Wreath frame. So I've already wired together the 5 frames, or the 5 sections, and then I'm going to get one of each color to show you how to do this one. So give me a second. Steve's actually working on some things around the house, so it's just me today. So what we're going to be doing is taking one pipe cleaner, and we're going to be wiring together the inner 2 rings. You're using the weld marks on either side to help you find a midway point. It doesn't have to be exact. And then we're going to do the same thing, but on the outside too, using the weld and the centerpiece. We're going to wire together the outside too, just like this. And then the other side. That'll give you 6 on the inside, 12 on the outside for a grand total of 18. And then we're going to get ready to add our deco mesh. Now, I actually have a purpose for the 3 different colors, the white, the light blue, and the dark blue, because that's the same color as our deco mesh. So where we're going to be laying in the dark blue, obviously the dark blue, the light blue, and then the white. So all 3 of these meshes, that doesn't sound correct, you can get at Craft Outlet. This is a snowball mesh. This is a cotton drift. As I'm sure you can see the difference, the snowball mesh just has little balls of the thicker furry chenille edge, whereas the snowball mesh goes all the way through. So the white and the light blue are a little heavier, whereas the blue has a metallic thread and the snowball mesh. So I've cut 6 pieces of each color at 15 inches. We're going to be doing ruffles. Let me just span this out a little bit further so you can see. The sign is a 6x10 sign from Personalize It by Pam. And this one just says Snow Welcome. So it's kind of like a play on So Welcome. So this is going to pair really well with our snowman. So we are going to start ruffling these. The interesting thing is on all of these, I was able to use the wood burning tool to cut all my mesh, even the heavy cotton drift. It just took me a little bit longer, but it was able to go through, which leads me to believe that it's not a true cotton fiber. It probably has some other elements in it. And I'm going to be removing the 6 inside as I come to those, just like this. So if you guys are joining me for the very first time, welcome. Let me know where you're from. I'd like to welcome you. Plus, you never know where you might find a crafting buddy here that is not too far from where you live. So I encourage you guys to reach out and make connections if you happen to find someone who's fairly close to you. So we're going to do all 3 different color pieces instead of a solid blue. Let me get my comment thing pulled up really quick so I can see those. Here we go. Let's turn volume down. Let's pull this up, and we're there. And it helps if you actually slide your comments, Kat. Okay. All right. So there we are there. Stephanie says, what beautiful color blues. I actually love these two different color blues when you pair them with the white. This is going to give it a very, you can use it for Christmas, but it's more of a winter effect. It's kind of like that frosty look, and I just put this in the wrong place. So I'm going to move this one over because I grabbed the blue. And remember, we're color coordinating our deco mesh to the colors that we have here on the board. And because we're moving, all my cabinets here are vacant, so that means that I have availability. So that's where I'm storing my supplies for now, for my wreaths. I'm just tucking them into the cabinets or the drawers below, right where I'm at. And then that way I don't have to bring out my cart. And here's this one. Now remember, when we're laying our ruffles in, our goal is to always take, like when you get the two next to each other with a crossbar in here, you want to make sure that you take your edge of your ruffles, kind of bring it up, and make sure that it definitely goes behind. I'm going to pull my blue out of the way. Here's my white, so that when I take my blue and lay my blue over it, it provides good coverage. Same thing in between. Actually, I need to stick my white in there. So 15-inch pieces, cut with a wood burning tool. You will need 6 of every single color. You will use 1 roll of deco mesh for each color, and you will have some left over. So here I'm back to the inside. I'm going to give it some extra twist. And then we're going to tuck the leftover in. And because our blue sits on top of the white, we're going to take and move our blue on top of the white. Remember how we always take our pipe cleaners and move our pipe cleaners to the left? I'm just making sure that the white is completely undone. Just right here, making sure we got good coverage on both sides with those. And move that to the left. Okay, pay attention to the colors, Kat. We're on white, blue, and a dark blue. And then that will fill this section. So here's our white. I always take the finished edges, and those always go towards the inside and the outside. Here's my blue in that adjoining section. I want to make sure that I lift them up and make sure they get tucked behind. So then that forms great coverage on both. Hang on a second, why is my comments not popping? There we go. Michelle says, definitely ready for something cold. It's been hot here in Arizona. It has been super hot here. We live in Victorville, so the high desert has really been reeling from these temperatures all summer long. Normally we get little reprieves where it'll go really super hot for like a week or two, and then we will get a little bit of a break, like a 10 or 15 degree difference, but it has been consistent every single day, well over 100 every single day. So we have not been the happy campers.
Too dang hot.
See, Steve says too dang hot. He's actually painting my craft room. We dismantled my craft space for the last almost 5 years. and get all that stuff packed up and ready to go, ready for the move. And then that's going to happen, we think, the weekend of September 9th, 10th, 11th. We haven't quite figured out if we want to move on a Friday or if we want to move, like wait and leave Saturday morning, try to miss most of the traffic if we can. So we're not quite sure. Alrighty, there we've got those two. We need another 3. And we're back with the blue. Okay, move to the left, move my snowflakes off to the side. There we go. Hi, Anna. Thanks for joining us. What are you guys making right now? If you're making wreaths, what is it that you are crafting? I think winter and Christmas right now. Is where I am focused. You'll want to check the couch. That would be Giles just now. Making sure these are 15. Yes, we are. You want to take a break?
Oh, that's not taking a break.
I know. We're trying to see if 1 gallon of paint will truly paint the average size room. After 10 years, sometimes you just got to put a new layer of paint in there. Flipping over this, the blue. We are going blue. So looking at your comments, you guys are talking about where you guys live, which is great because like I said, when I watch a lot of the wreath making tutorials, it's interesting to see where people are from and how close. Like I was surprised to find people that were in the same city as me, which is always fun to have somebody that lives close to you that you can craft with. Helps with the supply cost too. If you order stuff from like Craft Outlet, you can split the cost of an order, save yourselves on shipping. I'm just hoping my mesh didn't roll up underneath my cabinet. Hoping it didn't. So this is creating a very wintry home for our snowman. And remember, our middle is just coverage between the 2 outside sections. So right now I'm laying my blue outside piece. Go ahead and lay this in. Make sure we've got good coverage on both sides. Lean everything to the left. And then we need, yep, I've got them all. here's the last piece. So white, then blue, dark blue, and blue. I think this cotton drift mesh is my new favorite. So make sure we've got coverage from the one before. Make sure we get those ends that lay down so that we can take the one right next to it and have great coverage. Hey you, I can see you. Hi. You're like, hi, bye. Middle is our coverage between the two. So I want to make sure these are open as wide as these will go as well. I know some people may not like meticulously lay their mesh, but I find that if you just put the pieces in place, even if you have fairly thin mesh, you'll have better coverage by doing that than if you just plop them inside. Okay. This one. And I always turn my cut edges. So we turn them. So just like where they're cut, I just turn them in. Helps them fray less. And then here's our last piece. Let's see. Okay, now we're going to do something a little bit different. Rather than, we're still going to use our half bows and stuff like that, but we're going to add and thicken up this base even further. So this is what it looks like right now. Sharon, let's see, was it you that asked the question? Cindy, how many wires are on the Wreath? There are 18 pipe cleaners. I've been removing the inside 6. So there's 12 to the outside, 6 to the inside, grand total of 18. And so now we're gonna do something just to kind of add more dimension, more texture to this. I've also cut individual pieces and I've rolled them into little curls. So let me just kind of show you really simply how to do this, because some people go, your curls look good, mine come out looking weird. So these are 10-inch pieces. So I have cut 12 of each color, 10-inch mesh cut to 10-inch pieces. And to roll them, I just start by folding the first inch, and then I just roll until I get them all the way together. And I use my Bodabra to hold them. And I can generally get about 3 sets of 3 inside my Bodabra before I have to take them out. And I just kind of put these together in like a little, when you're a little kid, you draw your snowflakes, you know, a certain way. So this is my Deco Mesh Snowflake. And I'm going to use a zip tie just to hold these in place while I get them situated into those outside 12. Oh, nice. So, who was it that said this comment? So Valerie says, Melissa from Crafty Max was talking about you on her live today. She loves your work and saw your ribbon and yarn wreath and made one similar. Awesome. Sharon says, why do you cut off the ties? Why do you cut off ties instead of cutting the ties off? Kind of lost in that comment. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take a bundle of 3 and we're gonna add these to each one of the outside 12. And the reason why I keep them bundled is because I don't have to worry about them coming undone. And I already have these done. So these are going in each of the outside 12. Because our snowmans are going to take up so much real estate on the inside, we don't really need to go big there. So little bundles, just take them, drop them right inside where your pipe cleaner is. You're going to give them 2 good twists, and then you can position them any which way you'd like. So you have different colors kind of rolling around there. I'm going to flip that so you can see it a little bit better. Let's zoom in. I'm going to do this one, and this will go really quick. And I always like to take them and just flip them and fluff them. I'm kind of liking this whole little drawer front here for my supplies. Just like that. So look at how far we're elevating this wreath, and we still have not gone outside of, you know, 1 roll of deco mesh for each color to get this look. And I'm just flipping them and laying different color combinations on top of others. You know, if you want your blue positioned differently, you can move those around before you get them set in stone. Okay. Let's put a blue up here. Let me grab my pipe cleaner. It's at the bottom. There we go. Flip that around. So this is something also you can do if you have really thin mesh. Maybe it doesn't give you the coverage you'd like. Then you can go ahead and take these 3 little curl methods. This is a really great technique to use if you have a lot of leftover mesh like I do. Like this is how much mesh I had left from, you know, just cutting the 6 15-inch ruffles and then going in and doing 12 10 inches of each piece. Probably have, I don't know if I'd have enough to do a whole nother one, but I can definitely, you know, put it together and see. But I love using this technique like at Easter when I have a lot of pastel mesh maybe left over. Okay, so we're gonna flip just like so. And then our last one, we're gonna tuck in right here. And you can twist them, you know, you can put them in sideways, you can put them in up or down, whatever you'd like. And look, still 14-inch Dollar Tree Wreath Frame is our base. And we didn't have to go with an elevated work frame, which on the price point side of thing runs somewhere between $6.99 and $7.99 for a frame. This, my frame is still only $1, and then whatever the pipe cleaners are. And right now we have from end to end, measuring edge to edge on the mesh, we're at 24 inches for our base. Okay, now we're gonna go ahead and add our snowman, because I'm all done. I had to make sure. So this comes in a kit, and they keep going up in price every year. Sometimes, like the traditional colors, like the blue, sells out quick. The red, white, and green will sell out quick. They make them in purple, they make them in yellow, and I think there's a red, white, and black. What you're gonna get is you're gonna get the head with his scarf, and they've made the scarf much smaller than in the years past. Normally it's really long. You have a pair of legs, so one of each, and then you have mitten hands, and they're all wired. So the first thing I like to do is cut the tag off the back. And then you have 3 places to attach it. So you have 1 at the top of the hat and 2 at the sides. So I'm just gonna place him to see, you know, roughly where do I want them to be. I'm gonna move some of my curls out of the way so he can kind of lay in there a little bit easier. His sign is gonna go somewhere in here, right about there, so we can hold the sign. Holding his sign, I always have to do this thumbs up, so this has to go this way. This one will have to go this way. And I'm just using it for placement, just to kind of see. I can probably bring his head up a little bit further, which means I can bring his sign up a little bit further. And then kind of like him where he was, a little bit more fluffy. And then his legs will hang at the bottom. So of course, once you get the head situated in there, it snugs in, and then you can have his legs however you want them to be, hanging out of the bottom. So let me show you kind of how it's going to be. So let's see. Can you stay in there? Never wants to just stay. So it's going to kind of roughly look like this. Okay. So let's attach him. So we'll remove the sign and his little gloves. We're going to attach his head first. So I've got 3 places where we need to attach it. So I am going to, because I liked the placement right where we had it of his head. And this is pretty thick wire, which is great going through these natural fibers. So I'm going to kind of push him in because I want him like snuggled in the snow. Okay, there's that one. We're gonna do the other side. And this is great to do all 3 so that he doesn't lift in the wind. You know, if you got high winds going on, we don't want him to blow away. Again, push him down, get him snug in position. Couple twists on those heavy duty wires. We will be cleaning those up after the live. And then we're going to do the same thing for the hat so he doesn't tilt too far forward. I'm just undoing a lot of the wires because they're kind of twisted so that they don't all get tangled. So this will go right inside, and that'll kind of help hold his hat in place so it doesn't lift as well. And now we're going to attach the sign so that we know where the placement of the gloves needs to be. So this is going to just kind of rest right in the center. I'm going to go ahead and punch 2 holes in the side using a Beadsmith metal hole punch. It's a 1.5 millimeter, and it works exactly like a hole punch. It allows you to put the hole where you want them to be on your metal signs. And I'm going to pull out probably about 18 inches. because folded in half, I need to be able to reach down into the bottom. I'm going to attach my floral wire, which is 22 gauge floral wire, and I'm going to do it from the back. This way my sign doesn't spin and you won't have to see it on the outside. So what I mean is I'm just building the base right here over my hole. So I'm going to attach my floral wire. There we go. Make sure it's even. And then I build this over the back of the hole. Just like that. We're going to position this right underneath. You have the option, you can leave his scarf out, you can tuck his scarf in. I like their scarves in. I just like it to be more of a turtleneck, I guess. We're gonna go ahead and run this all the way down through the mesh. I want it to stay right about there. And then we'll do the same for the other side, just so we can still see his scarf. And it's kind of falling over where I already have or had our pipe cleaner right in the center. So let me get my wire from being folded. I'm going to pull his little tubes out of the way. Get that nice and tight, not too tight. There we go. So see, we've got head, we've got sign attached. Now we're going to add his little gloves, which thumbs up. I'm going to attach this right here. So I always like to straighten them out just so I can get them down into the mesh. Want to make sure I got a rail between each side. And I like to position it a little bit further so that the customer can kind of play with it. They're posable, which means, you know, you can take his hand and make his hand, instead of going like this, maybe up like this, maybe hold a snowball. Just like this. Right now he's just holding the sign. This one, I'm going to go ahead and drop this one in. There's one. Making sure. Felt weird. So I'm going to pull this back down. Making sure he's got his arms off to the side. So I guess if you had to think about the construction of this wreath, basically he's comprised of different color snow, varying coldness. So, and then we're going to go ahead and add his legs. So I'm making sure he has a nice fluffy scarf. His legs, same thing. You can pose his legs. The wires go all the way down to the bottom of his feet. So you want to make sure that you give him plenty of space when you put these in. And those are fun as a designer to position, because you can decide whether you want them kind of, you know, is he doing the splits? But our goal is to get them all the way up like into the wreath. And the sad thing about these is if you pull too hard, you'll pull the wire up. You don't want to pull the wire up. You just want to pull them into the actual wreath. Because you still want them to be able to pose, you know, the legs or the feet, however way they want. Okay. Just getting those all set. I'm going under my little tubes. It's a perfect way to help hide, you know, the design part. They kind of don't want people to be able to figure out, like, how did they do that? Let's get this one up. Go ahead and push his foot all the way in. These wires are very thick, so you will need a good pair of wire cutters to cut those ones off. Okay, so this is what it looks like thus far. So if we hold him up using his feet here, kind of like that, I guess. That's kind of what it looks like. And now we're going to add some ribbons to the outside, and we're also going to embellish him a bit. So let me turn my glue gun on. Get that plugged in so that that's ready to go. Wow. Okay, I'm just trying to catch up on your comments. I know Debbie's like, your home looks so plain. We actually love it. You know, I guess that's what you get after 10 years of having all kinds of stuff. It's like when you strip it down to the bare minimum, it's so nice to clean because you don't have to move anything. Okay, so here's our ribbon combinations. So we are going to be using an 1.5 inch royal blue with the white Swiss dots, and then this furry Let It Snow 2.5 inch. This is 14 inches. This is 19 inches. And then we're also going to be using my favorite ribbon to date. This is blue velvet with a white snowflake, and we're pairing that with the stripes because it's kind of picking up all the different color blues that we've used. Again, 14 inch for the 2.5 and 19 inches for the 1.5 inch. All of the ribbon from Craft Outlet, when they had it, I don't know if it's still available. So we're going to alternate our colors. So we're just going to pinch at the halfway point. We're going to place this on the inside. You can add all kinds of things to this. You could add scatters and fillers. You know, nice glitter balls would make this look gorgeous. And then the 14 inch goes in first. So let me show you what that one looks like in. So here's our 14 inch in. Okay. There we go. And we're going to take our ribbon, we're going to fold it over on itself. We're going to go in about 2.5 inches or 2 inches from the top. You're going to kind of gather that inside. And then what we're going to be doing as we place this inside our pipe cleaner, we're going to pull this, we're going to pull this out to one side, and then you're going to always have to right side the other. Then you'll fluff up your loop, and then you'll fan your tails out. So this, since it's already prefabbed, is going to go right inside, and we're going to give it a bunch of twists. We're going to go ahead and remove that. snip that off. And then we're going to take this and tuck this behind the loop so you don't see the pipe cleaner. So open it up and then fan this out so that you can see both pairings of ribbon. So that's the way I'm going to do things all the way around the outside. So we're going to go ahead and get our blue. We're going to go ahead and go in. Love this blue velvet ribbon. It's expensive, but sometimes when you see the results, like just how beautiful it is with the white glittered snowflakes, just that ribbon alone could stand on its own, but we're all about blending and putting all of our colors together. Okay. Hi, Lori. Thanks for joining. Okay, flipping. So remember, all of the materials, except for the sign tonight, came from Craft Outlet. Like I said, I don't know if they still have that in stock. But now when I show you this, here's our two pairings with the Let It Snow, with the royal blue Swiss dot, and here's our navy blue or the royal blue velvet with this striped pattern on top. And then we're just going to keep going all the way around. Hi, Patty. Thanks for joining. Two twists. And then you can decide how you want the ribbon to lay. You might want it under the tube. You might want it over a tube, in between them. I'm trying to think of what other embellishments you could add. Snowflakes, tinsel balls, thanks, Diane. She said this is a really cute wreath. So if you guys would like to be notified when I go live, usually it's every Friday at 5 Pacific and every Sunday at 5 Pacific. We've kind of moved that a little bit. We were going a little bit later, but we found out that a lot of people go earlier, want us to go earlier on Sunday. So that's what we're doing. And as you can see, just by adding those ribbon touches, we're not taking away from the deco mesh and not hiding any of the mesh colors at all. You can still see every single color. Again, the sign is a 6x10 from Pam on Etsy. It's Personalize It by Pam. Deborah's funny. She says, I can't believe you're still doing live while trying to move. We're trying to do a lot during our off hours. Like, we've been trying to do a little bit at a time. So yeah, it'll be go time in about 2 weeks. Not this weekend, right? Not this weekend coming up. Not the following weekend, but the weekend after that. We will be making the trek to our future home. And I can't wait to share with you the things that we're going to be doing, the ideas that we have. I want to make sure I'm not skipping any of the ribbon tails. Royal blue. Thank you, Karen. She says, everything you make is so beautiful. And then Carol says, hi from Florida. So hi and welcome. I'm sure it's hot and humid there. She loved the blues, all the blues. I agree. All these blues, the royal and the turquoise and the teal, and then just a touch of the white look amazing. Okay. So I always try to split my ribbons. This way you can see all the different colors of the ribbon. Not that one. Athena says, did you do a live for the flower wreath that I have on the door behind me? I did. We did it in our private group. The wreath behind me allowed me to show them how to use 21-inch mesh, poly burlap mesh, because I happen to have, like, the fall plaid color was 21-inch mesh. I didn't have it in the 10-inch. So I showed them how you can wood burn it and fuse the edges, because when you take 21-inch mesh, cut it in half, you're, in a way, you only have one finished edge instead of two. So we're able to fuse it really well and put it together. And that's using the Unique in the Creek large flower board just to create that. I have a friend of mine who loves fall sunflowers, so we kind of did that for her. Let's see, making sure, let me spread this out a little bit. Don't have my sidekick today. Like I said, he's busy. That's what we're going to be doing all weekend. Not only are we prepping this house for its future people who will be living here, we're packing up all of our stuff as well. We don't want to wait to the very last week and just do that. Everything that can possibly go in a box, you just shove it in the box. We've been trying to be very organized and label where it all needs to go, and downsizing a lot. Because this has been 10 years here. So it's been when both of our daughters were still teens. So I've got to break out all of the stuff that parents accumulate over the time with your kids. So we've had to let that go, some of it. And then we don't have as much wall space in our new house that we do here. So we've had to downsize artwork, and we've just given it away for free. Just tried to bless a lot of the people here around us. And imagine having a yard sale where everything in the yard sale is free. You just want people to pick it up and take it. If it can benefit them, great. Yeah. We've been uncovering a lot of like things that you haven't moved in 10 years. I keep waiting to see if we're going to uncover any items that have been lost. Like the first time we moved, we found our daughter's iPod. iPod? Yes, iPod. I was like, is that right? Yeah. The things that play music. She had lost that during the course of our move, or when we lived in our older house. And she thought she had lost it at school. Turned out it was stuck in our sofa bed, in our couch, when we pulled it apart to take all the sheets out. and she found that. Still worked. So just a lot of fun things like that. Valerie says, you will miss your brother. Yes, I will. I will miss my dad as well. I've gotten really close to my dad lately, and that's the hardest decision is, but my dad doesn't want to move. He's very content where he's at. So we've stayed for everyone else. You know, as parents, we stayed while our kids were in school because that's where all their friends were, and kind of always put off move. You know, we'll move later, we'll move later. Well, now if we don't move, we will probably never move. And so now's the time. And that's hard. But I'm hoping that if we move, that they will move too. Because things are getting really ridiculous in California. Here we go. I keep seeing comments pop up and then I can't catch them fast enough. So what do you think of this one so far? Do you think this would be something that you would make? Do you think that I've inspired you maybe to try a color combination you hadn't thought of before? You know, mostly in the past I've done snowmans all white and maybe accented them with whatever ribbon colors they had on their scarf or their sign. And so this one I really wanted to pull all the blues in to kind of create a very frosty look. Thank you, Valerie. She says it's nice you're doing something good for your future. We are, and I think that's kind of, we've been praying about it for a while, so we kind of feel like this is the next chapter. You know, we've had this house in all of its space to be able to help people who have needed a place to stay while they, you know, kind of either save up money and make another move. But it's kind of been a good place for people, but now it's just too much for us. And I gotta get out of this weather. I cannot endure. It used to be nice living in the desert. We used to have desert thunderstorms. So those would roll in every afternoon between 3 and 5, and it would cool everything down, and we'd have the most gorgeous sunsets. And now it's just perpetually hot all the time. First I was like, did I skip one? Because I saw the velvet and then the Let It Snow blended with the blue mesh. I didn't see it. Last one, and then some cute little embellishments that I happen to have left, just to give him some more character. He is available on my website. It's not available on my Etsy shop yet. Probably won't be till next week. Also, this weekend is the last weekend for the moving day specials. So if you've ever thought about like, oh, I wanted to purchase a wreath, but you know, they're kind of outside my budget, this is the last weekend. I put a lot of my wreaths on sale. So, and they're as low as $35. Shipping, however, is still there because you have to pay to ship. But it's a huge saver, and that's only on the website. So it's catscreationsandmore.com. Let me give that to you guys. And there is that comment. So Hobby Lobby sells these snowflakes in their miniature section. They make them really super small and they make them really super big. They're all different. I always like to take one and embellish his hat with one. I kind of do it off to the side so that it kind of gives it like this look. So he kind of has that. Audrey says she thinks I'll get tired of all the wind and the rain. Well, I've been here for 58 years. Kind of like this one a little bit better. And I'm sick of the perpetual sun every day. I feel like I've dried out. Right? Stephanie says the snowflake on his hat is just perfect. So you can tell that they're like little ornaments because they have one that has a hole in it. Usually I just take that and snip that off because it'll finish the snowflake. I'm gonna add glue to the back of this where it's gonna tuck down into his hat. Slide that just under his brim. And then we'll make sure that that stays. And then since we have those other ones, I'm gonna have that one, and I have this one, I'm gonna kind of tuck these around the outside, maybe a little bit more towards the blue ribbon. Not that we'll notice them, but that might be a nice surprise for someone who's looking through the wreath and kind of finds those little snowflakes kind of peeking out. Love this one here. That one's a little hard to see. It's always difficult because when you're designing flat, you know, we have a tendency of putting things that look good to us this way. And then when you flip them up and look at it upright, sometimes the snowflakes that we had in place look a lot different. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna snip this off. I'm gonna go ahead and add some glue to the back. I have this is Gorilla Glue on high. And I'm just gonna tuck this. Yep. And then we're going to flip it around to the other side. Okay. And I'm using the little curls so that when I add the glue to the center, I'm taking the center of my tube and pushing and holding my snowflakes on. Let's see, do I have anything else? I have some other little small ones. So this is what I was saying, is that you can get these from Hobby Lobby. They're in the miniature sections. It's called My Little Christmas, and they come with them in a whole bunch of different styles. So I'm gonna grab two that are exactly the same, and we're gonna do these the same way. Just add those little touches of embellishments. Let's see, where do I want to put this? Like that one down there. I like making little surprises for people to find. I don't think it looks good on his gloves because I like his gloves. Now, we're gonna tuck one down here. I'm gonna tuck another one over here. So same thing, a little bit of glue. Tucking them in. And then we're gonna hang him up so you guys can see what he looks like on the door. The door behind me is a full size door. It's 36 inches in the width, not the diameter. So this is what any of the wreaths will look like on a front door. So like this one, is that here. And our snowman, we're going to take, we're going to place him right up here. And see his legs are posable, so you might want to pose them so they kind of come out. Take these and make sure all of our ribbon tails look amazing. We can take his hand, pull his hand back a bit. So you can actually see the welcome right there. Okay. Let's get you flipped over. Now he's crooked. There we go. Okay. There you guys have it. Our snowman is complete. Do you guys have any questions at all? Debbie says, what color will your new door be? I think right now it's green, but we're gonna probably change it. I don't know if we're gonna go with a black door. We just have to get out there and see. But yes, the color of door will all make, you know, your designs pop. Diane says, I'm late. Where did you get the snowman, please? If they are still available, the kits are on Craft Outlet. Matter of fact, everything except for the sign and the snowflakes is all from Craft Outlet. If it's still available, they might have sold out, but hopefully you can find everything there. That's pretty much about it. So don't forget, the Wreath Moving Day sale ends on Sunday, so it's your last chance to get a really good deal on a wreath. I have a lot of Christmas stuff, I have a lot of fall in there, and then a lot of the months going forward. So take advantage of that sale while you can. And that's pretty much about it. So I will see you Sunday. Sunday, I think we're doing country Christmas. So something a little bit more rustic. So think rusted bells and stars and stuff like that. So hope you guys will come back and join me. Don't forget, see you Sunday at 5 o'clock Pacific, which is 7 Central and 8 Eastern. And I will talk to you all later. Thanks for joining me, everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.